Okay, it's recording. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. My name is Lucas Campbell. I'm here talking with Mia Miller. She emailed me a few days ago about meeting up, and from what she told me so far, I thought it would make a great topic for my independent study project this semester. So I asked her if I could record our conversation, make it into more of an interview. Now, Mia, I know you told me the basics of the story in your email, but would you mind starting again from the beginning, just so I have everything on tape?
Sure. I guess the story starts a little over a year ago. My grandfather passed away.
I'm so sorry.
Well, he went missing, but I was pretty sure that he was dead.
Why do you say that?
Well, I had my suspicions. He always traveled a lot, but this time was different, and the tape confirmed it.
Right, the tape. We're jumping ahead a bit, sorry. What was your grandfather like?
He was interesting. He was sweet and always encouraged my love of nature, which was nice. We weren't that close, though. I did love him, I just never really got to see him that much. And I guess he and my mom had a falling out, so she didn't really want him keeping in touch with me anymore.
That must have been rough.
Yeah.
Your grandfather goes missing. You think there's more to it than that. So, what happens next?
Just a few weeks ago, I get this cassette tape in the mail. It was from him. Well, not from him. He recorded a message on it, but it was sent to me by some attorney.
If you don't mind my asking, why a cassette?
Well, back when I was little, since I never saw my grandfather that much, I really wanted him to be my pen pal, but I was too young to read or write. So every few months, he would record a message for me on a cassette tape and send it in the mail. Even once I learned to read and write, he would still send them once in a while.
Oh, that's actually really sweet. So, this new tape, what was it about?
I have it with me. Do you want to just listen to it?
Oh, yeah, sure, if you're comfortable with that. Let me just go get a tape player set up.
Okay.
Dearest Amelia, first off, I wanted to tell you I'm sorry. If you're listening to this, then it means that I'm gone. Once I finish recording this, I'm going to give it to Mr. DeMarco with very specific instructions. Sorry to be blunt, but he's not supposed to send this to you unless I've been killed. Either that or I've been gone for at least a year. If I've been gone that long and no one's heard from me, there's no way I'm coming back. Like I said, I'm sorry for that. Now, you're probably wondering what this is all about. Well, I have some very important things to tell you, and a favor to ask of you. The biggest favor I could ever ask. All I can do now is hope that you play this tape all the way through at least once. The things I have to say are going to sound crazy, but please at least hear me out.
Jeez, that's quite a start.
Tell me about it.
Monsters are real.
All right, I'm sorry, but what? Monsters?
Yeah, that's what he says.
All right, then.
Monsters are real. I found that out when I was just a kid. Now, I'm not talking about the kind from the old movies, like Frankenstein or Dracula. No, these are things that live out there in the wilds. Things people tell legends about. Sasquatch, lake monsters, you name it. I use the term monster just for introduction's sake. I don't really like the word myself. For one thing, they're not all dangerous. They're just wild animals by and large. Some are dangerous and some aren't. Mostly they just want to be kept to themselves. Now, if I haven't lost you yet, most of us just call them cryptids. They may be animals, but they're not just animals. There are two things that set them apart. Creatures that are bigger than normal, things that should be extinct, abilities that might seem like magic.
Cryptids.
Yeah.
I see why you came to me.
Yep.
Sorry, I won't interrupt again, I promise.
It's fine.
The other thing that sets cryptids apart from normal animals is something I call the fog. I know it's a silly name, but I'm no Shakespeare. Anyway, I don't know why, but for whatever reason, every cryptid I've ever come across has got the fog with it. Now this fog, it can play funny tricks on your mind. For most people, maybe 3/4 of the world, they can't even see cryptids. The Jersey Devil could be sitting right in front of them and they wouldn't even notice. Keep in mind, it's not that cryptids are invisible, but it's much more like a mental blind spot. A person sees a cryptid and their brain just can't process it. Now for pretty much everyone else, they can see cryptids, but details are hard to keep down. In most cases, when a person does see a cryptid, the memory gets all fuzzy after a few days and they can't really describe what they see anymore. A lot of people will convince themselves they were just dreaming, or wrong about whatever they do remember. This makes it hard to get many reported sightings. Only a small fraction of people, maybe only 1% of 1%, are completely unaffected by the fog. Luckily, I turned out to be one of them. Not only can I see cryptids, but my memories don't fade away either. Well, at least no more than normal memories. I was always afraid I'd be wrong, so I kept a journal, just in case. And thankfully, it's always stayed with me. The fog does something else, too. More than anything else, this has made it nearly impossible to prove the existence of cryptids. Simply put, the fog screws with cameras. When I was younger and still seeing how things worked for myself, I took a camera with me on one expedition, took as many pictures as I could. Rabbits, deers, trees, rivers, even the Thunderbird I was tracking. I must have taken 200 pictures, and every single one of them came out crystal clear, except for the pictures of the Thunderbird. They were no good. You just can't film these things. And that's why, if you ever see a picture of a cryptid, it's a hoax or a misidentification. Every last one of them. The Patterson film, the surgeon's photo, all fakes.
So, what are those?
Oh, you know the one super famous Bigfoot video where it turns its head back while it's walking and it's swinging its arms back and forth and everything?
Oh yeah, right.
That's the Patterson film. And have you ever seen that one really classic black and white picture of Nessie?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the surgeon's photo.
Got it.
Listen, you were always a smart kid. I saw how much you loved animals growing up. I was so proud when you decided to study them in school. And you always had such an open mind. I hope you still do. That's why I'm telling you all this. You know all those business trips I took over the years? All those vacations? I was always on the trail of some cryptid or another. Once I found out they were real, I dedicated my life to tracking them. Sometimes the real nasty ones had to be put down, but I just wanted to help people study cryptids, convince people to keep away from them, keep everything safe. Now that I've said that, I have a favor to ask you. I don't ask it lightly, but you're only one left, so here goes. I want you to carry on my legacy. I'm hoping you'll at least consider it. I had hoped to recruit your mother for the job, but she wasn't up for it. I took her on a camping trip with me once. She didn't know it, but I was on the hunt for a lake monster. We did find it. It was a gorgeous creature. But it turned out she couldn't see it. She didn't even know it was there. I tried getting her through the fog, but she thought I'd gone crazy. That's also when she stopped talking to me. It hurt real bad. But when she told me I couldn't see you anymore, it broke my heart. After that, I resolved to have this conversation with you someday. I had hoped it would be in person when the time was right. But if you're listening to this, then it looks like that's not meant to be. You're probably wanting some kind of proof, and I don't blame you. Thanks to the fog, though, I can't show you any pictures or films. I never kept any trophies either, because that just seems wrong. But if you want proof, I ask that you do just one thing. Go to Burlington, Vermont. Lake Champlain, and make sure you take a pound of crab cakes with you. If you don't see anything, then I guess it's the fog and there's nothing more I can do. If you go and it turns you into a believer, please keep going. Study, explore, research, and help people. I know I never saw you growing up as often as I should have, and I'm sorry for that. But know that I always loved you. If you do decide to take up my work, you'll have everything I managed to save over the years. It's not much, but it should be enough to cover a few years' worth of research. And be careful. Treat cryptids with caution and respect, like you would any other wild animal. And listen, stay away from men in black suits. I'm not the only one that studies cryptids. But the less you know about that, the better. I believe in you, and I'll always love you, Grandpa. And by the way, don't ever bother going to Loch Ness. It's just a load of Scottish bullshit.
Let's keep it family friendly. We got the idea. So, that's a lot to take in.
Yeah, I know.
What happened after you got this?
Nothing. Well, I cried. Ever since Grandpa had gone missing, no one had been willing to accept that he might have died. At least, not out loud. But then here was this tape from him, out of the blue, a year later. I never thought I'd get to hear his voice again. So I cried, but that was it. For about a week, I didn't do anything. What could I do? It all sounded ridiculous. But finally, after thinking it over for a while, I decided to at least humor him. I looked into the lawyer that sent the tape. He's legit. My grandfather really did leave it with him. So, if this was the last thing my grandfather wanted me to do, I should at least give it a chance, right? As crazy as it sounds. So, that's when I decided to talk to someone that already knew about monsters. Cryptids.
Which brings us to me.
Right. Exactly. So, I sent you that email.
Would you mind going over that? Why you contacted me and everything? For my project, if that's okay. Just imagine you're telling it to some other person who doesn't know us.
Oh, okay. So, Lucas and I had taken a few classes together back when I was in college. After I got the letter, I remembered how he had always been into monsters and that sort of thing. I hadn't seen him since I graduated, but we were pretty good friends back then, so I figured, what the heck? Why not? I shot him an email, and here we are.
And here we are. So that explains the notes you asked for. You wanted a sort of primer on cryptids, right?
Yeah, all I really know about cryptozoology is that it studies animals that don't really exist.
That's one way of putting it. Basically, the word cryptozoology means the study of hidden animals. And like your grandfather said, those animals are usually referred to as cryptids for short. They're animals that haven't been formally discovered by science.
Because they don't exist.
No, they don't. Listen, there are plenty of animals we know about now that no one else believed in at first. Like the platypus, a venomous beaver with a duck's bill that also lays eggs. Everyone thought it was a hoax when it was first discovered. Hell, I know it exists and I still think it's ridiculous. Even the mountain gorilla was just considered a myth at first.
Okay, fair enough.
So anyway, cryptids come in all shapes and sizes. They might seem pretty different and random, but this cryptozoologist named George Eberhardt actually came up with a pretty comprehensive system for classifying them.
All right, lay it on me.
Well, according to Eberhardt, there are 10 types of cryptids. The first are called distribution anomalies. These are known animals, but ones that show up outside of their normal range, like all the big cat sightings in England.
Okay, that's actually pretty reasonable.
Second, we have undescribed, unusual, or oversized variations of known species. For example, there are giant anacondas that supposedly live in the Amazon.
All right.
Third on the list are survivals of recently extinct species, like the Tasmanian tiger, the carrier pigeon. That one's pretty self-explanatory.
These aren't so bad, actually.
Yeah, the list kind of goes in order of craziness. My words, not his.
Oh boy.
Fourth are survivals of species known only from the fossil record into modern times. This would apply to like a dozen different cryptids that are basically dinosaurs.
Jurassic Park. Awesome.
Don't even pretend seeing a real dinosaur wouldn't be awesome. Anyway, the fifth kind are called lingerlings.
Ooh, that's cute.
It's similar to number 4. These are animals that are still extinct today, but there may be evidence that they lived far longer than the fossil record would suggest. Something like the woolly mammoth surviving up until the last 1,000 years or so.
Oh, okay.
Next up are animals not known from the fossil record, but related to known species. Basically anything that looks like a species of animal we already know about. The best example would probably be this supposed striped manta ray that hasn't been officially documented.
Okay, back to something reasonable.
Seventh are animals not known from the fossil record and not related to any known species. This would include Bigfoot, a lot of lake monsters, things like that.
And we're back to Crazy Town.
Oh, just chill. Number 8 is listed as mythological animals with a zoological basis. So any monster that's a mishmash of other animals, chimera, griffin, that sort of thing.
Mythological creatures? Seriously? So do we believe in dragons now too?
Hey, I'm not the one that made the list. You asked for the notes. Number 9 are seemingly paranormal or supernatural entities with some animal-like characteristics. Jersey Devil would be a good example of this one. Or the Mothman.
Mothman. Of course.
And finally, we have the known hoaxes or probable misidentifications. Things like the jackalope, or apparently the Loch Ness Monster.
So, all of them? Sorry. So, no offense, but do you really believe these things exist?
I don't know. I'm open to it. I certainly like the idea of them existing. I don't think science has explained everything yet, which leaves some room for mysteries in the world.
But Bigfoot, dinosaurs, Mothman?
Well, yeah, it sounds crazy when you say it like that, but... Okay, here's another example. Take the coelacanth.
What's a canth?
Coelacanth. It was this big, ugly prehistoric fish, only ever known from fossils. People thought it died out back with the dinosaurs. Until one day, a fisherman found one off the coast of South Africa. There wasn't just one either. There's a whole surviving population.
But that's just a fish.
And why is a fish any different than a big ape?
Because it is. This is crazy.
I thought you were at least giving this an open mind. For your grandfather?
I know, you're right.
So, what now? Are you going to go to Lake Champlain?
I don't know. What's at Lake Champlain anyway?
Champ, a lake monster. I don't know much more about it off the top of my head, but I could look into it for you.
A lake monster? Seriously?
Come on, we're keeping an open mind.
Right. So, my dead grandfather wants me to go to Vermont to see a lake monster. Wanna go with me?
What? Really?
Yeah, man, you're actually interested in all this stuff, and I really don't feel like driving all the way up to Vermont by myself. Plus, if you're doing this for a project or whatever, it could make for some good material.
Yeah, you're right. Sure. That'd be great. I've never actually investigated a cryptid out in the wild, so this will be exciting.
I sure hope so.
The Cryptid Cases has been a production of Little Giant Monsters.
If you enjoyed the show, please consider leaving a review on iTunes.
If you'd like to follow us on social media, search for Little Giant Monsters on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Or visit littlegiantmonsters.com.
Thanks for listening, and see you again soon.